Hey everyone, Mike Rosehart here, going live for the Wisewall Show. I am on a new device. I've got a new iPhone. Actually picked it up on Facebook Marketplace for a really good deal. The unfortunate part is the new iPhones. So I didn't have the new iPhone doesn't have the headphone jack where you can normally input a microphone. So normally I would input there and then put my lapel clip on. Unfortunately, when I have my cord plugged into my phone, I cannot have at the same time the mic plugged in. So it is what it is. Hopefully the quality is better. I don't know if this new iPhone. I actually like the old iPhone camera better. So I don't know. I actually don't like the color grading balance with this new iPhone, but it is what it is. We're gonna do our best. I got a bit of a cold still, so I'm fighting that off. And apologies for that. We'll just do our very best to struggle through. Tiger Rocks, good to see you on. I didn't do a Facebook post, so people probably didn't get a notification or anything. I think we're live. Definitely we're live. People are jumping in. John Turner just jumped in as a new subscriber. Hey, welcome. Yeah, so ask me anything you guys want this week. I can tell you what I've been up to. I can tell you I've been fighting a cold. Having a toddler, I have a little over 3-year-old daughter, and she goes to preschool and brings home every single virus. And if I go and stay up late, like I sometimes do, and binge like Game of Thrones or the show Billions, and then go to bed like 5 in the morning and get up, then I get tired, weaken my immune system, and there you go. Did someone who they have clicked dislike before I even got? Okay, Tom Craig, hey, how's it going? Good to see you guys on. I'll talk about whatever you guys want. Just bring on the questions. We're gonna try to keep this quick because it is tax season. Winter is here for me. Game of Thrones reference, but I have to get all of our taxes done for all the JVs, all the properties that I'm associated with. And it's just the taxing time of going back and finding out like what day did I close on this property? Was it like April 3rd, like April 30th? I can't remember. So when you have dozens of lots of property, it's hard to remember where exactly when you bought things. And so it's just like laying out a clear timeline. It's really, really helpful. Where would you buy if you were buying this week? What do you mean? So where would I buy? Which properties? Or curious if you could have more context. Stock, real estate. Steven says, question, when investing in real estate, when you're doing your total calculations, do you count welcome tax, insurance, hydro mortgage payments? So the question is, total calculations for real estate investing, do you count taxes, insurance? Yeah, so when I buy a property, I look to everything. I look to all of the expenses. So it's net operating income, net. John, I see you popped up there in London student housing. So where would I buy? Location is first, right? When you're buying real estate, you gotta make sure you're buying in the right location. So first thing I would do is make sure I was buying in the right location. For Western University, that's one type of student housing in London, Ontario, Canada. You gotta be buying, I actually don't like anything on Richmond Gate's side. It's all too expensive. If I could find something there on that side, it'd be great, but the cap rates are terrible. So I like to farm anywhere south, a bit north and a bit west, but mostly south of the Western University. And then Fanshawe, you look at the bus routes and you find out where, same with Western, look where the bus routes go and buy on the bus routes. So you go around and buy all the different bus routes. I'm actively looking, but I'm just not seeing a lot that's making sense for me. A lot of Toronto investors are seeing numbers that are good for them, but I have a little bit higher standards, so I haven't seen much that I'm really interested in. There's been one property this week that I'll probably be offering on, and that's it. That's it, unfortunately. Can someone tell me how the audio is doing? Because I don't have my normal lapel mic. I'm literally going from the basic. Let's see if this is any better here. If I get closer, maybe you guys can hear it a bit better. So fingers crossed. So yeah, certain areas, I guess anything like Highbury, Oxford, north of Oxford, slightly south of Oxford, east of Highbury for Fanshawe College. There's that whole pocket of stuff. Even Adelaide, east of Adelaide, you'd be okay. There's a whole east of Adelaide, north of Oxford. I think that whole pocket. Hang on a sec, guys. I just got interrupted. People are calling my phone, and that's why we don't do live streams from the phone. And it paused the video, so apologies for that. I try to tell everyone who calls me, we've got like 10 people that work directly for me. So unfortunately, not all of them got the memo. We've got like 10 people working for us right now, and I'm managing them all. So I'm basically the general manager for Right Way. It's a pain in the ass. I would love to get a general manager who knows the trades work as well as I do. If there was someone who is as cost efficient as I am, who knew how to hunt for deals, knew how to use the Flip app. If you guys know someone in London, Ontario, or wants to move to London, Ontario, who is good at managing trades, who understands construction fully from you know, literally how to frame a wall to like how to insulate it well, you know, what are the building codes, Valerie, to do that role so that I don't have to. So my phone doesn't ring all day. And the worst is when contractors fight and you gotta like just like handle the fighting. It's like sparking two wires together is what it's like all day long. So that's a bit brutal. Anyway, that's not really, I'm losing my voice here, guys. You can hear it's almost gone. I've got a really bad cold, so bear with me. John Turner, I kind of answered your question there. I can see the different areas in London that you'd be buying. I like I said, south of Western University is a great pocket. I like west of Fanshawe, there's a good pocket. South of Fanshawe College, there's a good pocket that I really like. There are several pockets that I like anywhere in London where I can buy a property under market. So even in Northwest London, there are deals on properties. Even in South, there are still deals on properties. I mostly avoid south of, I have nothing south of Commissioners. We have one property way out East London, it's really south, but I have almost nothing in the Southwest. There's just been no good deals there that I found. The cap rates don't make sense. There are great single family homes you could live in there, but there are none that are really making sense from a cash flow perspective. It's just been what I've found. Doesn't mean there isn't still deals there. Okay, for example, I've been renovating for over a year. Do I count all of that in my total cost? Okay, so you're talking about like you're calculating your return on your investment in real estate. So I look at, yes, time is so important. If you take 6 months to do a renovation, or you take a year to do a renovation, and you make this same $100,000 profit, if it took you a year to make $100,000 versus 6 months, your ROI is half, right? I'd much rather make $100,000 in 6 months than make $150,000 even in a year. So you've got to value your time. What is your time worth? If you spend a year of your time renovating your property, that's a very expensive cost, right? That's going to cost you, I don't know, what is your time? $100,000 a year maybe is what your time's worth. I don't know what your time, you figure your time's worth, but opportunity cost is the idea that you could be doing something else with your time. And so when you spent your time there, you therefore could not do something else. So by me managing in my own business, Right Way Management, for all my investors, for instance, I went and got an affidavit signed to get the leak allowance fixed. A whole bunch of things that I did today that were not hugely value added for our company. There were a million little things sometimes I have to interface with tenants. I may have to interface with a lot of the trades. The suppliers are calling me and say, hey, so-and-so contractor just put, by the way, look at that. I smashed my pinky in a door. Hurts so bad. I think I'm losing a nail. It's one of those things where like everyone's calling me all day long and it takes away from my workflow. How many deals have I lost because I couldn't be out in the field grinding deals because I'm dealing with our 9 properties we're renovating, right? Most people think like one renovation's a lot. Try managing 9 crews of guys, right? That's insane, right? It's just too many projects at once. You're like, okay, I'm on this property, from Basswood to like Lyman to Wilson to this address to Hamilton to, all of the renovations we have going on right now, right? So every time a trade calls me with a problem and they want to talk on the phone for 10 minutes and blah, 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 or maybe there was another trades guy who was working there before them and they want to bitch about them. It's just the nature of the trades, unfortunately. And it's interesting too, paying trades has become a big thing. Like making payroll. I used to think it's okay to pay someone like on a Friday, but trades guys, if they finish a job on Monday, they want to be paid on Monday. They don't want to wait till Friday. And I'm like, everyone in the real world waits 2 weeks to be paid. How come you can't wait 3 days to be paid? The discount rate for most trades on value of their money is like 50%. That's why stores like payday money loans, they actually thrive. I couldn't understand it. I didn't even understand how those stores even made a profit. These guys are so bad with their money that $1 today is like $1.20 tomorrow. That's how, it just makes no sense to me, but that's just the nature of the trades. It's the nature of the bottom half society. There was a recent article I was just reading saying that 48% of Canadians are $200 away from insolvency, which is basically bankruptcy, right? Having no cash. That's a scary statistic. $200. average Canadian makes $1,000 a week. That means they're 1 day's pay away from like having nothing, being like done, bankruptcy. People are stupid, and it makes it very difficult to do our jobs and to for people who are really financially educated and they understand, you know, everything about financial literacy. Sorry guys, just move that over. Who understand all of the financial literacy stuff. It's frustrating because like I'm over here. You could pay me next week and it's not a problem. Although like I have some investors who I need to pay me like ASAP. If I'm fronting, this is like I shouldn't even go on this tangent conversation, but like if you're one of the investors who are watching and you expect that we're gonna front the renovations on these 10 properties, send me the money. You guys know who you are. We should not be fronting renovations on like 10 properties because even $10,000 on 10 properties is 100 grand in working capital. It's gone. We need to float. That's the crazy stuff about running. Basically, we have a property management company, but we're almost like a construction company because we're doing so many renovations and so much maintenance. These properties have been beat up for so long that when we take over, there's so much deferred maintenance, so many problems with these properties we have to fix up. And often to stabilize an asset, it can take 6 months to get tenants out and renovate the property. And then once it's stabilized, then it creates a ton of good cash flow. Okay, now I'm gonna go up and answer some questions in a lightning round. Okay, so Stephen, that was a good question there about you know, discounting your time and how do you calculate return on investment. It's the reason I stopped doing the work myself. So I used to literally lay all the floors, I used to frame, I used to drywall, I used to do everything myself. And then I realized I could hire a crew of guys and GC a job and it would get done in 2 weeks instead of 4 months. And to make even $10,000 less in 2 weeks, oftentimes it was like $5,000 less in 2 weeks versus dragging it out over 3 or 4 months. The holding costs, carrying costs, right, associated with that project going on that long, that the value of my money being tied up for 4 months instead of 2 weeks, the lost opportunity cost of rent, so I could have had 3-4 months of rent. If you add up in a decent house at $2,000 a month, that's $6,000 in rent lost. People don't value their time, and so you'll reach an evolution where it doesn't even make sense to renovate your own properties. It just doesn't. It makes sense to bring in a crew of people, like have the guys on point one after another, have the mutter and taper, the painter come in, the flooring guy, right? They gotta line these trades up, get it done fast. One guy is not the most efficient way to do things. So good question about valuing your time, and that's almost another video and tangent in and of itself, but definitely want to calculate all that into your return on your investment. And what you'll find is that a lot of flippers, without the market appreciation that we've had, if you adjust for that, have actually lost money. If you value what their money was worth over the year, right? They buy these properties in cash or whatever, and over a year, their money should have made them, if it was invested like with a hard money lender, they could have made 15%. And a lot of these guys will buy properties, I see it in Toronto, buy $500,000 properties in cash. And $500,000 over a year should generate you like $60,000 at least in return. So that's the benchmark. If you don't make 50 or 60 grand on your 500 in a year, you haven't even beat the benchmark. Doing all that extra labor and that stress and all that, because it's not a passive investment. You've bought this property and you're renovating it. If you're not going to make like triple or quadruple, it's just not worth it in my opinion. So there's a lot of flippers out there who don't make a great return on their money. Many people don't strategically allocate their capital efficiently. And that's just the nature of the game. So Tom Craig asked, how do you find house deals for 1% or more per year? Where do you find wholesale houses, private sales, etc.? I'm going to lose my voice here, but I'm going to keep trying to go for you guys. You find deals by knocking on doors. You find deals by searching Craigslist, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, every private source you can find, networking. A lot of my deals come from people who know me in the network, know that I'll close. If you reach out to a wholesaler and you're like, and people reach out to me all the time because they think I'm a wholesaler, I don't wholesale. I assign deals that I have to my investors and they close on them. But I manage the properties. That's how it works. I don't usually give deals away. It's very rare that I'll give a deal away. Sometimes I will if I just want to make a quick couple of bucks. But if you're going to reach out to me as a wholesaler, let's pretend I'm a wholesaler, and I have wholesalers who work. I have wholesalers who work exclusively for me. I have one wholesaler who will always bring me the deal first. That's what you'd ideally want. So you want to get to a size where you can feed a wholesaler. If you call him and you want one-off deal, why would he call you when he has 100 other people in a hot market calling him as well, also begging for the exact same terms? So then the wholesaler has to think from their perspective. What are they looking for? They want someone who's going to close the easiest and the most guaranteed. So the first thing they're going to ask, do you have the cash to buy the house? Oh no, I need to finance it with bank financing. Gone. They're never going to call you. No wholesaler is going to call you if you go to finance the deal, because chances are your finance is going to fall through, or something's going to happen, or they're going to get a deal that needs to close in 10 days that's in such bad repair that a bank won't finance it until you've renovated it first. There's properties that need to be stabilized first. The roof's leaking, or there's no power to the house. These things happen, right? And what you'll find is that it just doesn't make sense for the wholesaler to bring you a deal, a one-off deal. So everyone's thinking private deals are the way to go. But here's one thing. That guy who's looking, if you're looking for like that one property, chances are the wholesaler is not going to give you their best property. They're going to give that to like their whales. So guys like me who are buying 50 houses a year, I'm the guy who gets that really good deal because they want me to buy more from them. So they save their good deals for the best people. They're going to give you like their C-level deal, which what I've found is most wholesalers right now are getting smart. They know the value of the property. There's a lot of wholesalers right now, especially in London, they're selling stuff at market. So these private deals are not even good deals. They're bad deals. I was on MLS this week, and there's a couple deals on MLS right now that are full burrs. Full burrs. I don't have the capacity right now. We're actually on hold for a couple weeks and buying because I've got so many renovations, so many units to renovate and lease out, and there's so much workflow that we need to get our systems down. But I'm looking at MLS right now, and I'm seeing distressed houses that are perfect burrs. Why aren't you looking at MLS in the right places, right? With the right agent or the right whatever. I'm an agent. I'm not looking for clients, so like, please don't make me go show you houses. I look just for my investors, and that's it. But I'm out there looking, and I'm seeing on MLS there are better deals than I'm seeing wholesalers drop me deals, and I'm seeing MLS deals come that I've cherry picked off the MLS. There's a couple hundred out there. I picked the best, 10 or 20. Those 10 or 20 on Realtor.ca on MLS are better than what the wholesalers are bringing me right now. That's how messed up this market is right now. So just food for thought. Don't discount the MLS and don't overvalue wholesalers and private deals. People think private deals are the only way to get it, to make money. I made most of my money on Realtor.ca deals. Deals that people didn't see the same angle I saw. They came in and saw it as a single family. I came in and saw it as a duplex. They came in and saw it as a distressed, worn out house, bad rents. I saw it as an opportunity to turn around it into a student rental, right? It's all about how you see it and the angle you play, because there's money to be made if you can change the use of a property. And so that's been most of the way that I've made good money. And sometimes rents, they're really low. You got to kick the tenants out. There are a whole bunch of, it's not turnkey. The way to burr is not turnkey. It's a lot of work. So that's what it is. Thank you for asking the question. That was a good one. Okay. Can you buy with a greater than 10 cap rate? Yes, John Turner, but not without a huge renovation and a lot of aggravation and stress. You will never find 10 cap in London. Not never, but like 98% chance you won't find it. I'll find like 2 a year that are just like turnkey 1% rule, which basically is a 10 cap. I can develop 10 caps. So I can buy something at a 6 cap and turn it into a 10 cap by evicting tenants, renovating, changing the use of the property in some way. It can be done. I wouldn't bet on it. 10 cap's a really good cap rate right now in this market. Very difficult to hit. Okay, let me go up here. I got lost. There we go. Okay. Audio's good. Everyone can hear me. Sound is good. Thanks. Appreciate that, Mike. Good to see you on, computer mechanic. DW says, hey, how's it going, Mike? Just stop by to say what up. Hope you and the family are good. Thanks, DW, for tuning in. Appreciate the message. Hopefully you're still watching. Maybe you jumped in and jumped out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the support since the beginning. This Saturday's videos for a lot of you guys, I think you're gonna really enjoy, on how to convince your spouse or your significant other or your partner to get on the frugality bandwagon, to embrace early retirement. And I think that's something that's a little pump. Just saw your message pop up. It's one of those things I think that a lot of people have been craving on my channel. I'm not sure how to, maybe you guys can in the comments let me know right now, how do I title this video? I've been working on a few things, like the thumbnail. I'm thinking, go on my Instagram if you want to see some examples of like, we made like 50 versions of the thumbnail, and I have 100 versions of the title that I've tried, but I'm thinking thumbnail being like, how to make your partner save money. So it's like very like, make them save money, very demanding, very like, not quite clickbaity, but call to action, which will cause someone to click. It's got a nice picture of a couple like cuddling in the sun. So selling that dream of early retirement. And then the title beside that is saying like how to convince your partner, how to sell your partner on the early retirement dream. So it's like how to save money in the thumbnail, which gets people to click, because the average person, I had frugality on there, but I'm thinking maybe the average person isn't really familiar with frugality. The video's on convincing your partner to like retire early. So how do you get your partner on board with that? It's a really good video. It's chock full of tons of tips and tricks and things that I think work really, really well. I hope people can watch it all the way through because there's some nuggets I planted towards the end of the video to keep people engaged. Like planting the seed, I said like 1,000 times. Like it's almost like the most sexual farmer reference ever. So people might catch those. That'd be cool. Hey, AP. Hello. Hello from London. Hello from Vancouver. So guys, jump in the comments and let me know what you think for a title of the video. How do you title a video that's gonna keyword well, that people are gonna look for, that when they click on the thumbnail, it's gonna resonate? Thinking couple money, something, you know, marriage and finances, something in that realm. I'm thinking selling the early retirement dream or selling the financial independence dream, something like that. And then mixing that with like how to convince your spouse to save money. Because some, you know, I talked to a lot of females who watch my channel, their husbands are terrible with money. They have the fancy car, you know, the Tim Hortons addiction, and they have a beer at the end of the night and they spend. And then I talk to guys who are like, I cannot get my wife on board. She's got the fancy shoes and, you know, like the nice taste for doing her hair and nails or whatever. So that kind of stuff, like on both sides we're seeing it. And, you know, in every side of the equation it happens. And it's, you cannot reach early retirement without your spouse on board. It just will not happen. There should be, I'm looking on YouTube to see what kind of content exists. There's nothing. Like no one's talking about this. There's tons of people talking about early retirement and all the strategies, like 4% safe withdrawal rate. And I'm like, wait, everyone's reading about 4% safe withdrawal rate. Everyone's talking about like all this frugality stuff and all these secrets and hacks. And it's moms, a lot of moms on there like sharing their secrets. And a lot of guys on there like talking about the finance side. But no one's on YouTube talking about like how as a couple or as a partnership do you work together? You know, how do you sell your parents on? How do you sell your friends? How do you sell your significant other? You cannot retire without your significant other. So this video I think is going to resonate really well. If I can do the titling well. The thumbnail last week, I thought that video was going to be so on point. There was so much data. It's talking about all of like the last 20 years of stock market returns as well as real estate returns. And it got like 1,000 views, which it just, to me, makes no sense. I don't know why it didn't do better. I think maybe the thumbnail wasn't catchy enough. I should have been like, I think the thumbnail was something like best returns by asset class. And that's like pretty bland. I guess not a lot of people are really analyst-y type people. And I think I wrote that thumbnail for myself. What I should have said is like, you can't miss out on this asset. Like you need to invest in this asset. People click on it and be like, oh, and they'll go to like real estate at some point, right? Or something like that. It's clickbaity. Something they click it and they watch it. It's what I should have done. I'll probably change that thumbnail and see if it has an effect. Anyway, bunch of questions popping up. I see them all popping up there. Okay, Crypto Cheese jumping in there. My name is Jeff jumping in there. Simply Lucid, Michael Chung, Lil Pump, Robert, Tom, William, Crowdjoy, Ilya, Tom, Robert, everyone. I'm just seeing all you guys up here. Okay, let's do a lightning round. Blow my nose really quick. Okay. Tiger Rock says, can you explain renovation permits? How to pull a permit? What do you need for a permit? Also, when inspectors come, do they ask if the tradesman did the renovations? This is a long video. I could do a whole video just on that. So you go down to City Hall, that's how you apply for a permit. You're gonna need drawings of the unit that you're doing. You only need permits under certain situations, and it depends on your municipality. Here in London, Ontario, you do not need a permit to paint. You do not need a permit to do any drywall repair. You do not technically need a permit to even remove drywall. You don't technically need a permit to remove flooring and to put new flooring down. So you rip up tile floors, put new floors down. You do not need a permit for that. You do not need a permit to remove kitchen cabinets. People think you do. You do not need a permit to remove countertops and put them back down unless you move the plumbing or the electrical. If the plumbing is in the exact same spot and you reconnect it in the exact same spot, you do not need a permit for any of those things. So you can do a kitchen renovation, you can do floors, paint, new doors, new trim. None of that requires a permit. You can even pull paneling off a wall and put drywall up, and that doesn't require a permit. You can get away with a lot. Windows, outside windows, don't require a permit. Changing doors, if they're the exact same size, do not require a permit. If you make an opening bigger, then you need to have a permit. Roofs don't require permits. A lot of things don't require a permit. Things that do require a permit, any framing at all. You frame in a closet in a bedroom, you frame in a wall, you do any framing at all, you do any insulating at all, you do any vapor barrier, water seal at all, any plumbing of any kind, any structural work, any floor, a joist work to level out a floor, take up a subfloor, any drain work, plumbing, like water lines, and technically any of that needs a permit. Changing a faucet doesn't require a permit, so you can undo like the hot and the cold, and then take the faucet out and put a new faucet in, or like take a vanity out and put a new vanity in, that's okay, and then a new faucet, and hook it in the drain as long as it's in the exact same spot. You're not replumbing the whole, basically P-trap and everything. That's the quick and the dirty on renovations. If you're doing like a larger renovation, just call your municipality and ask them, hey, this is what I'm doing, do I need a permit? And so you can kind of ride the line and find out what you need to do. If you do stuff without a permit and you get caught, there are fines associated with that. I know a lot of people who do prefer the ask for forgiveness than permission strategy. So it's better, some people argue it's better to get caught and then just get a permit for whatever they catch you on and then pay the small fine. That's something that does work for people. I have friends who do that and they've done all right. They mostly don't get caught and it's fine. You want to make sure that if you're always doing the work to building code. Like I would never cut corners. I know the building code and I wouldn't, like for instance, I would not frame a wall without making sure there was a vapor barrier between the concrete in the basement and the lumber, right? And then again, making sure when you insulate that the poly layer goes on as well. Some people forget that, right? They forget these little things. Make sure they tuck tape it properly and acoustic seal around all the outlets and use the weather boots around all like plugs and switches and things like that. There are a lot of things you got to comply to, and building code is there for a reason. It's don't skirt the building code. It's smart. I do think the process for permits is lengthy. I did a duplex conversion, a proper duplex conversion, and I had to get a minor variance because one of the setbacks in the side yard was too small. And it was interesting because it took me 8 months from start to finish, and the renovation should have taken me 6 weeks. So when I started the renovation, I thought it would take 3 months, and it took 8 months. That's working with the city. That's how slow they are to review your drawings, get back to you, modifications. There'll be inspections, like when you're doing a proper renovation, there'll be inspections before you're done framing. There'll be inspections before you're finished insulating. There'll be mechanicals inspections for any HVAC work. So if you're running any, like heat runs. Heat runs can't be in the ceiling in a basement. They have to be run to the floor. It's just like a building code thing. All those things, right? You're gonna have to. Good to see you on Peps 22. It's one of those things you're gonna have to do everything, right? And all the inspections. And there's plumbing inspections. There's probably like a rough-in plumbing inspection, or like a medium way through. Like they'll do a wet test. They'll test all the air vents, make sure it's vented properly. You have to, if you're putting in new bathrooms, you have to add venting stacks out, and they'll do tests on all that. There'll be electrical. ESA is separate from the city, but there'll be Electrical Safety Authority, ESA. And they'll check all your electrical work. Your electrician likely will be, if they're a master, will be able to work on that. They'll pull the permit, it'll be their baby. You'll manage likely the city side, so the plumbing and all of everything else falls under city building permit. And they'll inspect every bit of it along the way, and then they'll do a final occupancy and you're good to go. And then if your city has rental licenses, you'll have to do the whole rental license thing as well. Okay, so many questions here, guys. These are good questions. Whoa, so many. Okay, scrolling down. So when the inspector comes, they're not going to necessarily ask you who did the work. I have not had that. I've always pretended that I did the work. And because I had a good understanding of things, I pretend that I was GC and I would just work with the inspector. They'll let you know. You can even leave a key and they'll go in and do the inspection without you there. I don't recommend that. I would prefer to actually be there and walk them through it. And if there is a deficiency, say, hey, let's not write that up. I'll work on that and I'll have you come back in 2 days, and then they won't write it up and I won't get a deficiency paper. Because if I get a deficiency like a yellow or a red instead of the green sticker to pass that next stage of the inspection, then I have to, obviously have them call back to fix the deficiency, make sure it passes. Then it's just one extra inspection, right? Whereas if you got good relationships with the inspector, and some of my properties I've done, I had some good relationships, and I can literally just fix whatever the deficiency was, snap a video or a picture, send it to them, and they're okay. And then they come for the next inspection. They're going to double check that I did it right, but at least you have that relationship. You can get things kind of solved that way. Same is true for fire inspections and things like that. I've had some really good results working with people. Crowdjoy says, do you use a broker, mortgage broker? Yes, I have used a mortgage broker before. I like mobile specialists. So I like people who work for one bank, but they're a mobile specialist. So all they do is just mortgages. And I look for someone who just does rental properties as their main primary. That person often has the most experience and the best chance of getting things done. I like the mobile specialists because a lot of them have their own dedicated underwriter. Whereas a mortgage broker is going to submit to a department and that they're not going to have a direct relationship with the underwriter. Some of the people I know can call the underwriter directly and have a conversation. That's powerful to getting an approval. So that's what I like. Credit unions are great too. I found mortgage brokers are not, they have the same flexibility that like where I had a mortgage broker go through to Scotiabank and I got declined. And then I went through the exact same file through a mobile specialist and they got it approved. So there's just less going through a broker. But at the end of the day, instead of going into a branch, if you're just gonna go into like a Bank of Montreal or a Scotiabank branch and talk to like a financial services person, you're always better off going to a broker than doing that route. That route's the worst. You get the least chance of approval, they have the least amount of pull, and those files are most likely to be declined. The other thing about it, the person building your mortgage file, if you don't submit it yourself with a cover letter, even if you do that, they're still gonna have to build your file. Who do you want building your file? Someone who's been doing this for 15, 20 years, who's got a lot of experience with rental properties, or someone who's in an office who's got one rental property or no rental properties, has no idea how to put together a good file for the underwriter. And want someone who can put together a good file. That's what being a good mortgage broker is being able to put together that file that puts the case together nicely for the client to get them approval. Okay. Do you have any course material for real estate investing? Do you have any materials you could suggest for us? I know Bigger Pockets has a 75-page PDF. It's pretty good. Tom, do I have any materials I could share with you guys? Yeah, like in bits and pieces, I've got stuff, but nothing I could share that I've like, as part of my mentee program, I have some loose stuff. Like I have drawings that I've like to scale drawings that I've done for building permits that I show my mentees and stuff like that. No, I don't have a course for that. I probably should make something like that. Just time. Like I literally don't have any time, guys. I'm just trying to get this video up for Saturday, and then I got my taxes, and I got like a million. My phone rings all day long. People are calling, and everyone's like, "I want it paid right now," or like you have to coordinate them to do a task. They finish the task, then they call you for payment, and it's this whole thing. All day long, you're just dealing with those fires, and I've got a million other things in the backlog as well, and a bunch of other projects that I haven't had time to make any courses. It's true. It's on me, but I only have so much time in a day, and the last few hours that I have, I want to spend with my daughter and my wife and family and my mentee program. I spend a lot of time with those guys too. Just too many people want a little piece of mic, and I don't have anything left for the course stream of energy. At some point, I will have some time for that, but just not right now. I think it'd be valuable to do a course on that kind of stuff. Obviously, people would have some demand for that. Someone should email me and take point on that, and I would be happy to look over our PowerPoint and make it better. If someone had a starting point. Are student rentals a better ROI than multifamily units? It depends. It's situational. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. OP cost is the best alternative for gone. I don't know what that means. OP cost, the best. You need a project foreman. Yeah, so I do actually need a project foreman. If someone knows of any good project foremans or good general contractors, I need someone who can also do renovation work, because when we're slow and there's nothing to manage, I need them to be on a site just getting work done. For me, I have a lot of fill work, right? I go look at deals or something. So when I'm not busy, I have fill work. But even if it's like they bug me 12 times a day and that's only like a 4-hour job a day, it destroys my workflow because I'm working on taxes and someone calls me and it's like this big problem, and then like I go back to work and I have to like take 10 minutes to get back into what I was doing, and then someone calls me again. So I basically get like nothing done because it takes me 10 minutes to get back into the workflow of what I'm doing. So it's really today an annoying thing for me that my phone doesn't stop ringing. And this is the nature of us hiring. We just hired 4 new people. And so having those people work for us 40 hours a week, it's a lot to onboard them and get them started. And that's entrepreneurship, guys. It's a pain in the rear. It's a lot of work. It is not FIRE. It is not financial independence. It is entrepreneurship. It's owning a small business. It's something I enjoy. It's something I want to build. And this is the hard part of it. It's not the part that's enjoyable, but you have to do it to get to the next stage. Like for me to unlock the 8-figure net worth, I need to get through this, right? And so it's just the nature of it. Go in the description of my last videos, guys. Like go to the last video I just did. What video was that? Returns by asset class. Go to that video. Look in the description. I've got 15 or 20 books that I really like that are all right there. So after the stream, click off and go to that last video, and you'll see in the description all of the books that I love. I'm in London, Ontario, Canada. So London, Canada. Okay. Hi, Mike. What's your opinion on Grant Cardone and Cardone Capital? Oh, Robert. It's like any other REIT. It's like any other investment opportunity. I think probably less than some other REITs that I've seen. He's got a good social media presence. The guy can sell like you wouldn't believe. I don't have any money with it, with Cardone Capital or anything like that. I have no. From what I've seen, the returns are not that impressive. I don't know that I'm comfortable with all of the buildings he's investing in, but I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't dug into it, so I can't really comment one way or the other. It would just be like my opinions, and I think there are better real estate investors you can invest with in safer real estate markets. All good questions. I saw in Papa Oli's Village. It's funny you asked me now versus like a year ago. I'll give you a different answer. What to do house hacking? You want to do house hacking. Do you have a house layout preference you look to buy when looking into house hacking? Do you prefer bungalow or is it more buying for price? Tom, great question about house hacking. So there are many layouts that work for house hack. There's no one layout that works best. There's been a few layouts that I like a lot. My current house, the way I do it is front and back and basement. So I have like a sort of like a back suite and then a basement 3-bedroom suite. That's how I hack. I have it's like 9-room, 5-bath house that I currently live in. And my current house is a house hack, for sure, 100%. My last house was a bungalow style where I lived on the top floor and I had a 2-bedroom apartment in the lower, completely soundproofed with a separate entrance that went down from the side. So it was not, our units were completely separated, self-contained. That one paid my mortgage as well. Before that, I house hacked in a new build where I had a little basement suite. Before that, I house hacked in a property where I rented, and it was a really good house hack because I didn't even pay. It covered all my utilities. I had my brother living with me, and we had a sweet rent situation. Before that, that was in between my build. I actually rented for a little bit because the builder didn't delay. They were 6 months delayed on the build project, and I got to live in this sweet brand new condo for free. It's a story for another day. But before that, I owned my house for 3 years near the university, and I lived in the master bedroom, or not the master, but like one of the bigger bedrooms, and then rented out the ensuite bedroom. Like there's a bedroom with an ensuite washroom. I rented out because I get more rent for that. So I rented that one out, and then I rented the main floor out, and then I built a little nanny suite in the basement and rented that out as an apartment to a friend of mine going to law school. So I loaded it full of students, and I just house hacked that way. So it depends on your living situation. Back then, my wife, like she was girlfriend back then, we were fine going to university and college and sharing with other friends. It was literally friends of mine in the same program that were living in my house. It didn't feel awkward to have friends staying in the house. So that was a version of house hack where we rented out rooms. And the more rooms, the more bed to bath ratio, the better the cash flow. That was how that house hack worked. As I evolved to the duplex situation, it was kind of like a bungalow where I lived on the top and the tenant lived in the bottom. So had a dual driveway, so we had no issues that way. And then I built a tiny house in the backyard where I use as my office and studio. So I didn't even additional building, an outbuilding of sorts. So that's sort of how I've house hacked. There are layouts I like the front to back is great. The top and bottom is good too. I like that separation when you have a family. Like I don't want, when I had tenants living in the basement, I don't want them coming into my unit. Like I don't want them, I had the backyard for myself. They didn't even get access to my backyard. They had a side yard entrance there was a big fence before they could even go to my backyard. So my daughter could be there playing with her toys, and the tenant never, we didn't even see him for days sometimes. That's an ideal house hack. I converted that single family to a duplex to house hack it legally, and I soundproofed the shit out of it. So I was jumping on the floors. They couldn't hear it, right? He's down there yelling on his gaming system. I didn't hear anything. It was designed purposely for that. Still love that property. It's one of my favorites. Kyle, my cameraman, my D-Rock, he lives there now in the upper, and he's enjoying the good life. But yeah, there's lots of layouts that work for the house hack. I think I'm gonna share a little secret with you guys. You guys want a secret? I need to hear 5 people say they want to hear this secret before I'm gonna share it. Of what the long-term plan is for Rosehart. I think it's one version of the future for Rosehart, the ultimate house hack. There's one yes. Oh, there's 2. There's 2. There's 24 of you guys on, 25 of you guys on. I need at least 5. I need almost a minority vote right here. All right, I guess no one else wants to hear it. Oh, there's a 3rd person. There's a 4th. Oh, is there gonna be a 5th person? Does someone else want to hear where I'm gonna move next? Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, there's 5. Cool. Okay, so 6, 7. Okay, people are on. Okay, so The end game, someone actually guessed it, live in a castle. You guys know it, but it's gonna be custom. I'm gonna build the coolest, I've already got like plans in the works. The mentorship program, you guys know about the mentee program, right? You guys know that I've been growing that, and I believe that there are a lot of people in this millennial generation right now, this like Gen Z millennials, that they're struggling. A lot of them don't have employment or they don't have direction. And I think the mentee program is that. Like the mentorship program, it could blow up in a big way. And I think that there may be like different stems of that with like an entrepreneurship and real estate, different areas of the program. But this idea that, and I'm gonna start building that up more, and you guys follow me on Instagram, you know about the mentorship program. The 4 guys that live with me who are doing the mentorship program full time, and we're changing their lives, right? They start this program with no real estate. They end with a few rental properties. We get them house hacking. Potentially, we get them, with rental income coming in. We get them jobs. We get them trained. When they go into the program, their time isn't valuable. A lot of these people go in knowing that they don't have any value. Their time is worth minimum wage. When they come out of the mentorship program, their time is valuable, right? So most people don't have money for courses. Like no one could give me $50,000 to take a year-long program with me full time, right? There would be no one interested in that. But all these people have time. And so I basically trade their time for knowledge. And so the cost of admission is free. It's a free MBA, basically the mentorship program. Anyway, so now you know that. Now you know what I'm gonna do with the ultimate house hack. And someone guessed it, the castle, but sort of. It's this castle mansion I'm gonna build, the fucking biggest Great Gatsby type property. It's gonna be the biggest in London. I don't think there'll be any bigger property. Be up there like in the top 10 anyway. The biggest property. But I'm not going to build like everyone else does. I'm going to build it. The factors you have to think about are resale, appraisal, make sure you get a mortgage on it. And if you build it too weird, you won't be able to get a mortgage on it, right? So it's sort of, how do you design this property to house hack, right? How do you design it so that it can cover its own self, right? A mortgage payment at 80% loan to value on a 15,000 square foot property is over $10,000 a month, more than that, right? So where do you come up with 10 grand a month? That's not frugal, Mike. Well, it is if you house hack it. So imagine I built a 14 bedroom, 15 bath property with suites. So there's like a west wing, a north wing, an east wing, a south wing, servants' quarters, a nanny house. All of these things you can do in this property, where all of that's considered like, someone wealthy buying that house, it would not kill the resale value. An appraiser would walk through and not say it's like weird. It's basically a 15-plex. Basically, I built a 15-plex apartment building that's sprawled out and connected as a mansion. How cool is that? It's like a hotel, but not zone hotel, no commercial property taxes, none of that, but building a property that would house hack. Then if I had friends come over or something, like not even friends, but like acquaintances through social media that want to come hang out, we do a mastermind or something, I could Airbnb a bunch of those suites out. It would have its own little kitchen, it would have its own ensuite washroom, it'd be baller, right? You're living in a freaking castle, like 10-foot ceilings, massive rooms. That's how you house hack a building like that. That's multiple millions. If you got 15 units effectively, you could have a cap rate that can make sense. So it's interesting. I think that's the evolution. That's the only way a frugal guy like me ever gets a mansion. I just can't ever occupy more than like 20%. Or like It just feels wrong to live in a prop. And maybe that'll change. Maybe my viewpoint will change over time. I don't know. But you build a 15. It won't be like a 15-plex. All of the wings will open up, right? So they'll not be individual units, but doors could be closed such that could happen, right? Theoretically, doors can open and close, and wings could be opened and closed. So that'll be sort of how we'll structure it. I imagine these big like cathedral doors, like these 10-foot doors. It would be a really cool project to take on, and I think it'd be fun for the social media, just for people like to document this. And I don't know if it's the long-term goal. For that to be frugal, you've got to have a net worth of like $25 million. Like to actually live in a mansion, it's like a $2 million mansion, which is like a house in Vancouver. My business partner's house in Vancouver is like 2.7 million. It's a joke to think that like, you can build a castle in London for that. But yeah, I think that's the long-term evolution. Is like I remember like at a meetup, people telling me it was impossible. Like I love house hacking, Mike, but it's impossible to do it in a nice area, Mike. It's impossible to do it with like a big house, like a 3,000 square foot house. So then I bought this house. This house is like 3,300 square feet, 9 room, 5 bath, over 2-car garage, 3-car driveway. They didn't think it was possible. It's possible. House hacking it now, living for free. I can keep going bigger and bigger. You can house hack anything. You just have to be willing to, and you have to design it in a way that's like comfortable for your family, right? Like I don't want these people coming, like I'm gonna have a unit for myself, obviously, like a sort of a wing is how I'm gonna call it. Because if you do units, then they're gonna be like, oh, this is like a 15 plex. We won't finance that. That's weird. But it's effectively that. That's how you would build one of these properties. It would be designed for that. And someone else who bought the property down the road, who bought Rosehart Manor, could then use them as offices, or could have like however they want to do it. It basically would have like guest houses, servant quarters, and different wings of the house, like a north wing, an east wing, a south wing, etc. And so that's how you basically utilize and house hack a mansion. So there you go. That's the evolution, is eventually getting to a real mansion. Like, I'm not talking like a little small house. Like, all of us joke around about like Matt McKeever's got his house there in Byron, and like they call it the mansion. It's just like a house. This is like 3,000 square feet. It's just a house. It's a little bit bigger than a normal house, but it's not a mansion by any means. I would not call that a mansion until it's like, you guys know what a mansion is. You drive up and you know what a mansion is. That's what I'm talking. Okay, so I got a lot of questions to bang off here. A lot of questions. Okay, let's go up here and scrolling. I think I found my spot. Is this where we were? Were we talking about house hacking? Tom, to answer your question, it is also about price. So for it to make sense, you have to really be buying smart. Price obviously justifies whether a house hack, in my opinion, is one where you cover all your living expenses living there. So if you're buying a really expensive duplex, not possible to do that. This house I bought for $415,000 per square foot. It's insane. Like, this house per square foot in a brand new build would cost me $750,000. I bought this for $400,000. So you gotta be able to find the arbitrage, right? This house looks really small from the road, so I was able to get a really good deal on it. It didn't look like it was a big house. It was kind of like it's like a bungalow with like a second story on the back. Like, my house looks small, and so I was able to score a bit of a deal, in my opinion. The comps actually in the area, a lot of the houses are smaller on this street. They appear equivalent size, but are much smaller than this house. So this is the model house built, and they built it a little bit bigger on the back there. And it has a couple bedrooms on the main floor. Most of the houses on my cul-de-sac have like the 4 bedrooms up top, none on the main floor, and maybe like 1 in the basement. So their layouts are slightly different than mine. They have a smaller square footage footprint. Just like my house happens to be really long, and so it worked out to be a house hack. But anyway, hopefully that helped. Ilya says, what do you think about buying cash flow in Winnipeg and coming back to GTA? Am I stretching it? It's really hard to find cash flows here in GTA with 15% down. Yeah, so there isn't a ton of cash flow in GTA. Winnipeg's a similar market to like London, to Windsor. Like, there's a lot of smaller markets you can invest in that have cash flow. I think it makes more sense in like Toronto or Vancouver to rent if you're going to live there. It's hard to house hack well in those markets. It can be done. I know people that do it. It's better to rent hack. Like, if someone knows of a mansion that I could rent for like $5,000 a month, I would rent hack that and rent out the other portions and live for free. That's how in Toronto I would just rent. You can rent. I saw an article of a house. It was like $12 million property. I think it was a $12 million property in Toronto. So a proper Toronto mansion for rent for like $5,300 a month. The mortgage on a $12 million house is like $10,000 a month, or more, like way more than that. So the person holding it is getting like a 1 or 2 cap rate. Makes no sense. Like, that person's retarded. They have so much dumb money. I would love to take advantage of that and rent arbitrage. Why would I buy a mansion on that street when I can just rent one and have the same power and control? So that's my thoughts on that. I'm not a big fan of Winnipeg, to be honest. Like, the economy is not that strong in Winnipeg. That's why the house to rent prices aren't so great. It's far too. Like, if you're in Toronto, why not just invest in like Windsor or London or Sarnia or any of the outlier markets like Oshawa, Durham. I like Durham as well. What about markets like Halton, Hamilton? Niagara Falls is a great market. There are places you can still find cash flow around you within a 2-hour drive. Why go all the way to Winnipeg? I don't know, like Stephen Arnio I think is there, but there's way better deals here in London than what Stephen Arnio is getting, if you know where to look. He just knows where to look. That's why it's so appealing. I can't wait to sit on a panel with him at OREC. I'm sure that Matt and Jeff are going to do that to me. Pair me up with someone whose beliefs, actually we align a lot on a lot of things like real estate wise, but morally we're not the same. So that'll be fun at the Ontario Real Estate Conference this weekend. For those people who are coming to the Ontario Real Estate Conference, hit me up and come say hi. I'm going to be walking around, so I'll be on a few of the panels, probably on the main stage, on some breakout rooms. So that'll be fun. Come say hi. Come join those panels and let's chat. If you're at OREC and you want to meet up and get some lunch or some dinner or whatever, hit me up. Okay. I lost my spot again. Okay, found it. I'm sure you've gotten this question, but where do you find your contractors? If you're starting from scratch, where would you find them? So CrowdJoy, Kijiji, and Facebook Marketplace have been places that I've traditionally found guys. I like to go through references. So I like to find a guy who's good and then ask him for all of his friends. Or find someone who's had renovation work done who's an investor, recommend me someone. That's been a great way to find reliable contractors. Lately, I put out Indeed posts and I've been getting a ton, like I have an actual company, so for me, it's a little bit different. I can actually go to the proper employment places and put up ads. I've been doing that and I'm getting hundreds of applications. Like people are saying there's no one looking for work. There are a lot of people looking for work from Toronto who want to move to London, wherever. And these guys have tons of handyman experience. A lot of these guys have been trades guys for like 10 plus years. And so I'm just picking them up, giving them full-time stable salaries. Some of them are taking 30% pay drops because they don't have to worry about doing their own paperwork anymore or like being their own business owner. They don't want that stress of quoting jobs. I provide that security, that safety, and I get them at a discount. Good question. Hey Mike, how much inflation are you seeing in trades costs year over year? Thanks. So in like trades per hour or in like trades material costs? So in material costs, things like lumber and drywall, we're seeing 20% increase in the last 18 months. That's a lot. Like where I used to buy drywall for $6 a sheet, my best deal is like $9.99. So that right there is like 30% increase. Lumber's up a lot. I used to get $2 a stud. So 2x4 was $2. Now 2x4 is $4. That's 100% increase in the last 2 years. The commodity of wood is really expensive. So I've switched to a little bit of steel stud framing. Even steel's up. Like the problem is in the last 3 years, we went through a huge boom where anyone would buy anything. And the problem is when people buy these properties that have all these delayed issues, when the market's hot, everyone wants to renovate. So you go into Home Depot, Lowe's, everywhere, it's just packed and crowded. All of the trades guys can just walk away from you and screw you, which some of them have screwed me and left for other people. Those guys in 2 years in the next recession will come back and beg me. They will fucking beg me for $16 an hour. They will beg me, guys who are like, I can get 35 somewhere else. Wait until the next recession. I will buy an army of trades and be ready for the next boom. Recessions are when you can really build a business. And I'm looking forward to the next real estate recession. I really hope there is one. Truthfully and honestly, being in a boom sucks because the demand for trades is high. Sorry guys, battling a cold. Yeah, it's tough. Where I could get guys for 20 bucks an hour to work, now 25 is like the best I can get. 30 is like, if you want someone who's really skilled, you're gonna have to pay for it. I lost my spot again because people are typing. It goes to the bottom. Let's back up to the top. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions, guys. So many questions. Can you allow moderated comments? I shared a link. I think you would find them interesting. I'm not sure why on the phone there's no option for the moderated comments. I don't know. On the computer, I can usually allow it. I can show a link, but it's not showing up on here. Wish I knew how. Just can't. Not on the phone. This is what happens when you get a new iPhone, you know. Okay. Did that question, did those questions. Hey Mike, any other personal finance people or real estate guys you'd recommend on YouTube? On YouTube, Graham Steffen's great. I love Meet Kevin's channel as well. Kevin Pathrath. Who else is good? Oh, Phil Puskin-Vinoski or something. He used to be the #1 in the world for a long time. And he has a very similar style that I do. He even explains things more clearly than I can. And he has the whiteboard style. Like we could actually do the whiteboard style. We could switch over to the whiteboard. If you guys want to do some whiteboard questions, we could do that for like 5 minutes. I could go do some whiteboard stuff. But he used to do some really good whiteboard stuff. Matt McKeever's obviously got a good YouTube channel. Check him out. He's here in London with me. He's a kind of a buddy. On YouTube and YouTube. That's great. Those are really it for like quality content, I think. Oh, you want to learn how to sell? Sell the image, sell the life. Matt Pichet is good at like doing I think he gives bad return on investment for his investors because he's investing in a market where it's just appreciation. But I don't want to knock anything, but he's really good at selling. If you want to learn how to like influence people on social media, he does a lot of good content on how to get JV partners and stuff. So he's good for that. Who else is good on YouTube? Stefan Aranio has some decent content, though I don't agree with all of his morals. His content is on point, and he's pumping up the content like Gary Vee. So you can't argue with that much content, you know? Hey, Little Pump. Simply Lucid says, how to set your life on fire. I like that title, not for this video. I think that'd be a good video for if you wanted to like learn about the basics of fire. But I think for this video, it's like how to get your partner on board with the whole fire movement. Every time someone asks a question, it bumps to the bottom. I gotta scroll back up. It's so annoying. There we go. Before you mentioned you don't like investing in a company's future value. Why not? If the company can generate future cash flows and value, isn't it worth it? So Michael Chung, when we value companies, if Michael, you're still watching, Michael's one of my mentees. He's either in the basement or like over here right now. So good question. We can talk about that offline too some more, but for the audience's benefit, the big thing is this. I like to pay for what is guaranteed right now. I will value future cash flows. So I don't misunderstand when I say that I do value future cash flow. I don't value future growth. So I won't pay for growth. And there's a couple reasons why. If a company is producing cash flow right now, let's look at real estate as an example, because I value real estate the same way, in a very similar way that I value businesses. I look at cash flow, same way as I look at EBITDA, I'm valuing a business. But when I'm valuing a real estate property, I don't want to pay for future rents. I want to pay for what are the rents right now. I don't want to pay for what the property could be after I renovate it, when I want to pay for what it's worth now. What is it worth in its current condition today? And I think too many people get caught up in what it can be, right? Peter Thiel has a good book on, it's like 0 to 1 or something. I was listening to part of that audiobook the other day. Great book, check that out. Peter Thiel's great. The guy's like autistic, so he doesn't speak well. Like if you listen to a public speak, he's like, I'm the most bland guy ever. But he's so smart. The guy is so smart. Anyway, he in his book talks about like competition, and he talks about like how people will sell themselves, right? As like the point he was making in one of the pages was like when you sell yourself as like the tech giant, right? Like you don't say like if you're Google, you don't say you're a search engine. You say I'm like a technology company in all these different areas, and all the investors will flock and basically they'll invest in the potential, right? You know what I mean? Like they'll I don't like to invest in potential because there's risk. And so the discount value that I put towards future growth is so high that there's very little value for it. I do pay for some growth. Like if a company is growing 100% year over year and it's on track for that, there's no reason why it won't continue to happen, then I might pay for some growth. I just prefer not to say buy a startup company with no revenue where they're like, I'm gonna go from 0 to like 10 million. I just don't believe that. There's a lot of things that have to go right for that jump to happen. And so I think that makes it risky, makes it risky. Investing in growth companies, paying for growth is risky. Whereas buying for cash flow today is stable and safe. If you know that cash flow is going to continue, you can bet on that. I'll use a discount rate of like 7% going into the future. So after a certain number of years, the cash flow's all been taken care of, right? Like you can basically get the net present value of future cash flows. That's how you can value it. But good question, Michael. We can kind of talk about that some more offline. If anyone has any further questions about that, we can do that. We're an hour in, so I'm gonna try to power through some of these questions. If I make $60,000 salary a year, what value of property do you think can I afford? Crypto cheese, depends on your expenses. Like it depends on how much your rent is, your utilities, all of these things factored in. Do you currently have a property? Do you currently have any debt? What is your debt service ratios? They look for TDS, total debt service ratios, and some other factors when they're determining your affordability for property. But $60,000 salary means you can buy like a $300,000 property pretty safely, but I don't know your financial situation, so it's hard to tell for sure. And your credit score and a number of other factors. But 60,000, you could pretty safely buy like a $300,000 house. 5 to 1 is like the minimum I usually see if their credit's decent and whatnot. Okay. Oh. Okay, I clicked the wrong thing. There, I'm back. Super grateful for this info. Thank you, Super Lucid. Appreciate that. Or Simply Lucid. My name is Jeff. It's 250K-ish mortgage pre-approval. There you go. So like $300,000 house. I know you don't like much cryptocurrency, but I have almost reached financial independence thanks to them in real estate. AP, that's awesome. I wish that I had the confidence to invest in cryptocurrency. I don't believe in paying for something that produces no cash flow. The only out in a cryptocurrency is to sell it to someone else for more than you bought it for. It has no intrinsic value. It produces no cash flow. It's not a business. There's no dividend. There's no cash flow. There's no sales. You literally just have to sell it to someone else for more. So if the perceived value of the technology or the cryptocurrency falls, you've lost everything. Your only out is to sell it to someone else for more. That is speculative investing at best. I wrote an article on Bitcoin when it was at 21,000, and all of my friends were obsessed with Bitcoin. A lot of them were like druggies, and they were just getting into like crypto super early because they were just doing drug deals and stuff. From where I grew up in Sarnia, I grew up in a rough area, so I have some friends who are rougher. I have some really great friends too, but anyway, those guys buying like Bitcoin like $1,000, right? And not because they're smart investors, like most of them are retarded. They just are buying it because like some friend told them to buy it, right? No underlying fundamentals, no analysis, just those guys did really well. There's a lot of people like that buying Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies without the proper education, the proper fundamental understandings. I don't know enough about Bitcoin, forget Bitcoin, any cryptocurrency technology, any blockchain technology. I don't have a master's in blockchain technology. I like the technology from what I understand of it. I've watched a few videos on it and learned a little bit about it, but I don't feel like, it's just not for me. Cryptocurrency is not for me. If I had any holdings in any cryptocurrency right now, I would sell them all, maybe leave like 1% in my permanent portfolio, but sell almost all of it. And I would just cash out, put it in something more secure, more stable, like real estate or something more stable. There are a lot of stable cash flowing companies you could put it into, which would be a better use of your money. Take the gains off the table. If you're almost financially independent just from that, take those gains off the table, right? Who knows what's gonna happen in the future? But you've got that gain, you lock it in, it's happened now. Losses and gains aren't real until you've realized them. So that's someone, when I started stock investing, someone told me that and they said, Mike, you haven't lost anything until you sell. So that always stuck with me. Like the same reason I sold 11 properties. You haven't made any money until you sell or refinance the cash actually out, right? So take advantage of that cash, harvest some of those gains and enjoy. Congratulations. Let's go back up here and find out where we were. Oh, I found it. Okay. No, we did that question already. Hi, Mike. Missed the start. Learning about permits and intricacies in the municipal bylaws must be a pain. Do you think that all that extra work is worth it at your stage? Already at fire. Shaylin, great question. I already learned them on my way to fire. So I was studying the building code when I was like 21 years old, finishing at Ivy because I was renovating my basement. So I had to learn how to do things to code, make sure the guys weren't screwing up my renovation. And then I bought a rental property. And so because my money was invested in something, it got me interested in learning about it, right? And when your money's involved, your money's on the line, you're more motivated, I think, to really dive in and learn about it. So that for me has been a motivator. If I had no money in real estate, I would have no interest in learning about these. It's dry as hell, and city laws are archaic and terrible and stupid in a lot of cases. Was dumb, voted in by like old people who their main goal is like to reduce densification, ensure students don't live in their neighborhood. Like their rules are just dumb. They want things to be the way that they were. They like things in the 60s. They don't like change. And so these people, a lot of them go out to vote. The old generation likes to vote, and especially in municipalities. So that's just unfortunately the nature of it. But good question. It assumes you can invest in alternative asset classes to get 4% or slightly better. Yeah, so I guess you're kind of asking, why am I still doing it? Why am I still suffering through? Good question. I ask myself the same goddamn thing every morning when I wake up to 10 friggin' texts and a call. To wake up from a contractor calling you in the morning is the worst. To wake up to someone who's like grumpy or has a problem, or that's what it always is. They're never calling to like say hello. It's like they have an issue. That's why they're calling. And to wake up to that every morning is depressing. It destroys you. What's worse is when tenants are calling you. So yes, why am I still doing this? I don't know. I'm crazy. No, I promised a friend of mine when we started this that I would help build this business, that we would help our friends invest in real estate. This kind of grew into this cool company that I'm enjoying the growth. I love building cool things, but it's a real grind and we don't have the right people in place. And where I thought my partner could cover all the ground, there's just too much. And so I have to step in to help him. I'm the kind of guy that I am. I'm a loyal person. When I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, even if it's painful. Like there have been times where I've made no money, but I've honored my word. And my word means more to me than anything else. So that's why I do it. Because I made promises to a lot of you guys that when I bought, like guys like Max, we got 4 properties, right? Like guys like Eric, we got 3 properties together. All you guys who have bought properties with me, you're relying on me to perform. And if my employees don't perform, which it happens, right? The buck stops at me. And so until I have another general manager, another layer of resiliency, I pick up the pieces. And instead of delivering 1% lower return to my investor, which is like probably what I should do, because like most fund managers don't worry about their shit as much as I do, I just work too hard. And could I just sell everything and collect at 4%? I could collect well into the 6 figures. So I don't need to be doing any of this. I could just sell it all and enjoy a passive dividend. Some days that is very attractive to just travel and enjoy the world again and play League of Legends all day and hang out with my mentees. That would be cool. I'd be down for that. But I'm on this journey now. I've made this commitment for a few years at least until we get this business big enough that it'll run itself. And so until this baby is big enough to walk on its own, I have to hold its hands every single day. And it's not something I want to be doing. If I had to choose again, I wouldn't choose this path right now. But it's a commitment, it's a path that I'm on, and I'm in the driver's seat. I can control how the company evolves and changes. And the next 6 months, I see myself pulling out of the day-to-day and focusing more on working with investors and on deals, things that I enjoy. And so that's what it is. It's a grind. Life's a grind, and it's not always easy. I wish it was. The good news is I have the resiliency, right? Like I've been grinding for like 8 years straight now, so kind of used to it, Wake up, grind, all the way till you go to sleep. Maybe an hour before you go to sleep, you have a little fun. That's about it. Not the fire life that, you know what? The fire life's kind of boring, to be honest with you. If you don't have anything to do all day, that's also really boring. So I think there's a happy medium. Like I envisioned when I built this company, and you always have an idea in your mind that like things will be one way, and then you get there and it's not as green as you thought, right? You always think the grass is always greener. You get there and you're like, oh, this isn't quite what I thought it was going to be. So that's just the way it is. Someone's at my door. Hopefully my wife gets that. I just heard the doorbell ring. Why aren't more investors flocking to Atlantic Canada? Not much appreciation here, but very good cash flow on properties. 30% ROI is commonplace in New Brunswick. Yeah, I mean, I was down in Newfoundland to do some of my real estate courses and do a little traveling down there. And yeah, the properties are different down there. I think the communities there are more run down. The unemployment must be a lot higher. I haven't looked at the data, but last time I did, unemployment was very high. The economy was not very diverse. It's a riskier place to invest. And so that's why the return is higher. Risk is commensurate to returns, right? Desirability of an area dictates basically how much investors are willing to pay. The more they're willing to pay, the lower the cap rate. The less they're willing to pay, the higher the cap rate. And so that's why the returns are great. I would love to expand out east, but I just don't want to be flying out there every week to manage the guys that are there. Because guys, employees, people on your team, they're never as good as you think they're going to be. You think they can handle everything, they can't. And I've learned that myself, having, now we got a business with over 10 people. We're going to a 20-person team pretty soon. A lot of it still falls on numero uno, on the guy who's running it all. And so I'd have to actively find a strategic partner in that area and then have them be me and deal with all the bullshit, or I'd have to fly out there, and flying out there all the time isn't desirable. I think that's why people don't flock capital there, is there isn't a lot of international draw the way there is in like the West Coast. A lot of the Western provinces and Southwestern Ontario gets a ton of international, like Chinese, Indian, like international capital, right? you don't get the same amount of international capital there, so there's not much attention. I'm definitely interested in investing there if I had the right environment to make it happen. Okay. See if I can blast out some questions here real quick. You guys want to do a lightning round? Watts. How you doing, Watts? Good to see you on. If I purchase a property under corporation, will I run into trouble when I want to refinance it down the road? Yes, probably. It is very difficult to buy properties in corporations. Be very careful when you're doing that. There are certain tax ramifications that I've talked about in past videos. Watch all the Wise Wall shows and you'll find out a lot of those tax nuances that make it not cost efficient. There's a lot of administrative costs, legal costs, and tax costs associated with buying property in a corp. I'm not a big fan of it unless you already have maxed out your personal amount of properties you can buy. So when you get to like 10 properties yourself, then it can make sense to buy inside of a corporation. That's the only time I think that it makes sense to start buying in a corp. And yeah, you can buy in a corp, but it just makes your financing a little bit more tricky. There are brokers who know how to work with corps. Some of the main banks won't finance properties in corps. Just be careful. That's all I gotta say about that. Lightning round. Crowdjoy says, have you ever used True North mortgage brokers? Can you recommend a mortgage broker? Thank you guys. I once did a quote through True North Mortgage. I go to RateSpy and you can see all the mortgage brokers. I've used Butler, I've used a few others. Butler gave me a 1.84% 2-year fixed way back, 2015. So I used them. They were not the best for customer service, but they did deliver an insanely good rate. So that's something. Lee, good to see you on. If you do pull no permits, do you still have to get the inspector for a cash out refi? No. So the appraisal process has nothing to do with the inspector. The appraiser comes in and says, this is what the value of the property is. They don't ask anything about permits. So they're isolated. You don't need to get it inspected. You need to like have it appraised, but that's totally different. So you only get it inspected if you have a building inspector coming through. Positive investing. Is any of your wealth in stocks or is it all in real estate? Positive investing. I do have a small stock portfolio. I do have, my tax-free savings account, my registered retirement savings plans and that. So we do have some stock portfolio. I do have some other activities going on. Very soon, we'll be finishing my subdivision development on, I have four like $500,000 cottage lots between Grand Bend and Sarnia. And we're gonna be cashing those out. If anyone wants, by the way, a lot that has deeded beach rights for like 150 grand to build on, or they want to do a build project with me, want to joint venture it, you got the capital, you want to do the capital, and I'll do the management, hit me up because I got 3 lots. I'm finishing the main house. We're flip that bungalow. It's gonna be a 4x4 bath. Finish that off, and I got 3 more. So once I finish that, I'm gonna cash out and have about probably $750,000 that I'll invest into other. I like to invest in other businesses that I can control. So I'll probably invest those in some private businesses that I have an active stake in because I can get a 35-40% return on my investment. I'll probably do some lending as well with that capital. And then, yeah, I might throw like $500,000 into a dividend fund. Like I'll buy maybe 10 or 15 of my favorite dividend stocks, maybe do some videos with you guys on some of my favorite dividend picks. I'll build a little portfolio and then collect some dividend income, and we can have some fun tracking that together. But good question. No, I'm mostly real estate because of the power of leverage. But that is changing very soon. I'm throwing probably $1 million into equities. My net worth's probably, if you value like my business, like my property management, construction company, and holdings company, that's in real estate, but the business of that is probably worth over $1 million. And I've got some stakes in other businesses and things. So yeah, probably like 60% of my net worth is in real estate right now. That's because I have a specialty in, like, I am of 2 minds on that. On one side, diversification reduces risk. On the other side, if you are good at something, you should double the hell down on that thing, right? Like, if you can get 100% return on investment in real estate and you have no edge trading stock, or like I probably have a small edge trading stock because like I have a business degree and I can do financial analysis, and like I'm probably in the top 10% of sophisticated stock investors, but I'm like top 0.1% of real estate investors, right? Like I have all the connections in real estate that give me such an edge that I can't go buy Apple shares 60 cents on the dollar. Just can't do it. I can go buy property at 60 cents on the dollar and make a lot of money. I use the bank's money to do it. The bank's not gonna finance me to buy shares in Apple, right? The bank is gonna finance me to go buy your grandma's house at 60 cents on the dollar, pay me to renovate it, and then I'm gonna make 100 grand, levered money. It's hard to say no to that. That's why so much of my net worth's in real estate, because it's hard for me to say no to it. My original plan, my original fire plan, guys, in like 2012, 2013, 2014, it didn't have hardly any real estate in it at all. I was gonna buy 1 or 2 rental properties and be entirely a stock portfolio, hands-free, passive. Things changed because I developed an edge, and I believe you should chase your edge. Good question. Got me thinking. Oh, my throat. Be strong, Mike. Be strong. Bigger pockets. Yep. What city are you based in? London. Good question. 11 Toll. Thanks for asking. Don Davies, good to see you on. What is your opinion on Old East Village? Do you think it's an up and coming area? I think, Don, that Old East Village has done most of the up and come. It's already up and came. Where Old East Village was good, and I was wrong, by the way, Matt McKeever was putting out videos. He was like, Old East Village, buying properties in Old East Village. He loved it. It was his farm area, right? He's buying cheap properties with the worst crackhead tenants. And I was like, this guy who was like, I don't want to deal with that. I grew up with those kind of people. Like I did. I truly grew up in the ghetto, right? So I didn't want to have those people as tenants because I knew what they were like. I knew how much blatant disregard they had for property, for paying their rent, for their landlord. They had no respect. So I focused on the mid-tier market. I focused on like nicer, more luxury stuff. And that was just my investment strategy, which has now changed. But in 2013, 2014, you could buy a triplex in Old East Village for like $80,000. 3% rule in London. 2015, 2016, there was 2% rule in Old East Village, where everyone else was 1% rule. So Old East Village was a really, basically east of Adelaide, if you look like south of Oxford, east of Adelaide, is this Old East Village in London. And it used to be called, by the way, guys, I'll also preference this. I went to, in Old East Village, there was a school called, I went there in grade 6. What was it called? They closed down the school now. Oh, the name's not coming to me anymore. They closed it down. It was called Lorne Ave. I went to Lorne Ave in grade 6 before I moved back to Sarnia for a few months. Went to live with my dad for a little bit before I went back. Lived with my stepdad, went to live with my dad, then went back to live with my mom. And in grade 6, I went to Lorne Ave. My dad had a property on Adelaide. I can tell you, Old East Village, they didn't call it Old East Village until they rebranded it. They called it East of Adelaide. If you were east of Adelaide, you expected to be shanked, stabbed, and killed. It was the shittiest area to be ever. The worst. Like, if you owned a property there as a landlord and worked on it at night, prepare to be fucking shanked when you're cutting your floor outside. Like, that's how bad it was. You'd be like, you'd go through your driveway and there'd be needles, like just along the side of your house where people were shooting up overnight in your laneway. That was what the area was. It's gentrified. It's close to downtown. I get it. It's come around. I think it's come a long way. We're seeing properties in Old East Village that are selling for as much as like Wortley Village, other places too. So it's come up a long way. I don't think it has that much more to go. There's still a bunch of houses in the area that are still run down, and as those get transformed, it'll get better. People are spending a ton of money in Old East Village, improving it. I'm neutral on the area. I would buy property there if it was under market value. There's no reason to not buy property in Old East Village, but I'm not bullish on it. There are other areas that I like more than Old East Village. I'm neutral. I'm not bearish. I used to be bearish on it because I'm like, you know what? The damage from having the tenants destroy your properties more than negates the upside appreciation. And I think I was wrong on that because the upside was way higher than I thought it was going to be in Old East Village. And thanks to guys like Matt McKeever, who blew that area up through his social media presence, and a few other good people who rebranded it Old East Village. There's a whole movement, a whole group of people. Okay. Good to see you on How to Save. Tom, Tiger Rocks wants to hear it. You guys all jumping in. I like it. Okay. I currently have about 20 case heads up and was looking to get pre-approved in the beginning on the next month. Housed in my area range from 100 to 200K. My budget is 150K. I live in Houston, Texas. Yeah, so you have 20% down on a $100,000 house. There you go. In the US, you can do some private mortgage stuff that makes it more attractive to buy less than 20% down. In Canada, it doesn't make sense, but in the US, it definitely does. They have the FHA loans with PMI, private mortgage insurance, that is not that expensive. And if you refinance, that cost goes away. Whereas in Canada, the cost continues even after you've got more than 20% down. You're still paying that fee for life. That's why I don't like buying less than 20% down in Canada. You're the real deal, Mike. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. How would you recommend getting started now or waiting for more cash? I've heard that you may find better deals at this time in my area for areas that need a lipstick remodel, etc. Yeah, so How to Save. Yeah, I mean, there's this saying, time in the market over timing the market. And I believe that's true in this case, and it's the right advice. You're better off to just get in the market, because the longer you're in the market, the better you'll do. The market does this, right? This is the trend line, and prices go like this. You have recessions, things fall, they go up, but the trend line looks like this, right? This is the trend line, and the price is like that, bouncing below and above the trend line. And so if you held over a 5-year period, you'll pretty much always have made money. 10-year period. You hold over a 20-year period, you guaranteed made money. You cannot lose money. So the sooner you get in, the better off you'll be. Unless, of course, you just bought before recession, in which case you have to wait 6 years for that recovery to happen. So as long as you have cash flow, you're buying properties that cash flow today, you don't care about appreciation, then you're going to be safe. Honeybees is amazing. Crowdjoy says, I broker mortgages for real estate investors that allow them to obtain multiple mortgages. I can give you my details if you want to talk more. Don Davies, there you go. Don Davies is a mortgage broker. Didn't even know that. Tom says, how? I think that was related to the other question when I was talking about the castle. What should I look for when hiring a property management company? Do you charge a percentage of gross rents? Yes, they mostly charge percentage of gross rents. Some of them will charge flat fee, so per unit price, like say $100 per unit. On 6plex, it'll be $600 a month. Be a flat price. Some charge a per house price. But the most common model is percentage of gross rents. Depending on the size of the portfolio you're bringing, between 6 and 12% of gross rents, what you should be paying. And then on the higher end, you might get including tenant placements. Often they'll charge you between 25 and 100% of last month's or first month's rent, one of the two, basically 25% or to 100% of the rent to place a tenant. So if your rent's $1,000, they might place the tenant for $250. My model includes everything. So I just bake it all in so it's smoothed out. So when you're placing tenants, you don't have that major cash out to pay the guy to place the tenant and then the tenant moves in. Just more smooth. But yeah. Currently struggling to pull the trigger on getting started. You can do it. And I read that comment already. How do you know you're getting the best mortgage deal? What do you prefer? 20, 30, 25, 15 year? How do you decide? So Tom, the longer you can amortize it, the better. Means the better cash flow. You want to pay the loan back as slowly as possible and get the lowest interest rate possible as well. So I would like a 35-year amortization if I could. And as I start paying the mortgage, I'll refinance back up 80% loan to value, pull the mortgage pay down out, and then buy another property. So you want to take that capital out, because as you pay down the property, your return on your investment gets worse and worse, because the less you've invested, the higher the return on investment is going to be. I just joined the live, so you have a mentorship program. Or when I do have a mentorship program. Hit me on my Instagram, at Mike Rosehart. Why did you get a real estate license? How did it help you? Pros and cons. Is it worth buying real estate investment properties? No, probably not. I got my license because I was doing enough volume that it made sense. I think you need to do 12 deals a year for it to make sense. So if you're doing less than 12 properties a year, it doesn't make sense. Even in my own case, it barely makes sense. I now have fiduciary duties, right, as a real estate agent that I didn't have before, where I could go in and offer someone 70 cents on the dollar for their house. I can't do that anymore. Now my wife has to do that, or someone in my network has to do that and bring that deal assigned to me, right? I can't physically be involved in negotiation, because as a realtor, you have a duty to present the comps and say, hey, your house is worth $200,000. Here's an offer for $150,000. You actually can't take a house under market value. If an agent does that, they can be sued. Their fiduciary duty, believe it or not, even when they're representing a buyer, is to make sure the seller gets a fair price in their house. It's the law. So that's the downside of being a realtor. There are some downsides for sure. There are also some upsides. Access to data and a bunch of other first mover advantages that give you an edge as a realtor. And so that's the reason it made sense for me. I ran the numbers and it kind of did make sense, but only just barely. Do you have a real estate agent when looking for houses? Is he your partner? How do you choose a real estate agent? I am a real estate agent myself. I do have real estate agents that are partners of mine, that not partners in the business, but like guys that I work with or girls that I work with that bring me deals, especially pocket listings. They're my favorite source of pocket deal because they're private. They're just like wholesale. They haven't hit MLS. The real estate agents got under contract. They're about to put an MLS. They haven't yet. You can get in there. You can negotiate. You can get a good deal. No one else is at the table. You're the only person. And best of all, there's an agent. And if they're your friend, they're working on your behalf with the seller. So that's the best kind. Even if you're an agent yourself, make friends with a lot of agents. Even if you're not an agent, make friends with a lot of agents. Do you invest in crypto or have you? Where and how? What's your thoughts on crypto? You already heard my thoughts on crypto, Tom, a little bit earlier, and you can go on my blog, 25 and Free, and hear my article I wrote about it a year, or listen to my article, or read my article about a year and a bit ago. Battelle says, hi Mike, see you at OREC. See you at OREC, sounds good. Ben Giggins says, do you have any properties other than your primary residence that go on your personal tax return, or does all rental income go through a corp? Both. I have, 8 properties or so personally now, and I had at one point a lot more than that, sold a bunch off. Most of it's through the corp now. Everyone liked this video. Thanks, appreciate it. CrowdJoy says, not sure how to private message on YouTube. You guys can figure it out between each other. Tom says, do you manage your ETF stocks, bonds, REITs portfolio yourself, or do you get someone else to do it to save you time? Tom, I do it all myself. That's just the frugal person in me. But I'm gonna tell you something cool that I found out. The private wealth division at Scotiabank and BMO and the big banks, they can do some really cool things. I had a meeting with someone recently who I'm actually considering hiring on a fee not based on performance, just a flat fee as a financial planner because of this one reason. I want to do a video on this, but you can invest in securities. So they'll buy you a bunch of stocks in a portfolio. They'll insure the portfolio against a certain amount of downside for a premium of like 0.5% of your return. So let's say this portfolio provides like a lot of utility stocks and stuff like that in the portfolio, right? So you'll put $1 million in this portfolio of stocks. And with the private wealth division at Scotiabank, you can go borrow 75% loan to value on your stock portfolio at prime if you're rich enough. They lend based on the stocks you have with them. So you can go put your money there and then borrow it out of the stock portfolio, lent, to buy real estate. Why use your own money? You can hold the $2 million I can have a $2 million real estate portfolio, $2 million in real estate down payments, and $2 million in stock portfolio. So it's really interesting. I'm actually really seriously considering that option. I love that they can insure the product, the stock portfolio, and then lend you back your own money. There's some really cool advantages. So when you get ultra rich, there's some cool stuff there with getting other people to manage your portfolio for you. Not because your time is valuable, but also because, the advantages of that, like being able to borrow your own money. Well, it continues to earn 7% from the dividends in the stock portfolio. You continue to get upside market appreciation, and you can go borrow, right, at like 4% when you're getting 7% return, and then take that money and lever it up in real estate. That's amazing. People are still watching. I know, I'm finishing up. Hey, Hair of Lux. Good to see you on. 0 debt, by the way, and I make $60K. That's awesome. That's a good income. Hey, Mike, from the Netherlands, and I would like to know how to buy real estate. How old the real estate is that you buy? Okay, the age of the property. So the age of the property, I think is what you mean. I know I'm hurrying. The age of the property is, it varies. I've bought houses, like this house I live in right here is built in 1988 or 1989, which is relatively newer. I have one property that was built in 1800. So I have a property that's 220 years old. So we have properties in a whole range, right? We've got really old properties that has old, it was actually a Masonic lodge, and then became like a hostel and a bar. It's been a whole bunch of things over the time, but now it's just a cash flowing triplex. But so we've got, a range of properties we buy. Often the properties built in like the 50s, like the wartime houses, or like the farm area. And these houses have been deferred maintenance for a while, so they haven't been updated, not modern. So we go in there and we modernize them. It just depends on how they've been taken care of, right? Age doesn't really matter, because you've got houses that are built in 1800 that have been rebuilt in 1950. You know what I mean? Like someone's reframed them, re-drywalled them all, put in new plumbing, electrical. So all the bones have been redone on the house for the most part, other than like the foundation. And oftentimes even the foundation has been re-poured in sections. So the original age of the house doesn't always matter. It matters more about the condition of the house. And even if the condition's bad, you can still cash flow it, and that's okay sometimes. What's the fastest way to close the deal? Should you get a mortgage pre-approval to close the deal faster? Yes. Go ahead and have a mortgage pre-approval. 8:15 bath time. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. I gotta go. I have $200K in stocks and cash to buy real estate, but I have no job. Happy retired at 40 and no home. Rent out my apartment for $1,500. What would you suggest I buy? You could find a way to lever up that cash. That would go really far. You could also just lend that cash out to like a flipper or something, secured against the real estate at like 12%. Be a great way to get some cash flow in retirement. Something that like If you were Canadian, I would talk to you about that. I mostly deal with Canadians, but you should make a video detailing the entire process of buying an investment property or sell it as a course. CrowdJoy, there are videos I've done on that process. So you go way back in my videos. Some of my first videos were on exactly that. Marco says, I travel a lot, so you want something that's passive. Obviously, lending to someone would be passive. Buying, investing with someone as they're the active partner and you're the passive would make a lot of sense. Like my investing model, where I work with my investors, probably be a good one for you. Maybe in your local area. I'm not sure where you're set up. Are you basically guaranteed to get a mortgage if you have enough money to buy the house in cash? I thought yes, up until recently, but no, not always. Can you buy an investment property at 20% down? Yes, you can. Here in the Netherlands, I cannot get a mortgage without a job, even if I have enough to buy the whole real estate in cash. That sucks. Same here. They want you to claim income. So find a way to get some income on paper, and that'll help. Tips for getting started: hacking, working with landlords, rent hacking. Okay, so finding something under market, go on and basically go on Kijiji, Craigslist, wherever you are, find the deals on the place, go ahead and talk to the landlord. At the end of the day, you gotta guarantee them they're gonna get their rent. That's the most important thing, right? And if you put in subletting, I would phrase it like, oh, I just want to have some friends live, with me, and I have 2 friends, and they want me to have the right to sublet to them. Is that okay? And the landlord will be like, okay, I can put that in there, put that like right to sublet in the agreement. So it's just about how you phrase it to them. But going in, making sure they're gonna get you're gonna guarantee the place, guarantee the rent's paid on time, et cetera, to get the place. In a competitive rent market, it can be hard to find those discounted places that are cheap are gonna be in high demand by a lot of people. So you've got to find those diamonds in the rough, and then you got to compete for them the same way you would compete for a house that was under market value. I gotta go, guys. Sorry. Disinformation. Thank you for checking in. And all you guys on the replay, let me know in the comments if you're still watching this video. Thank you all so much. Yeah, like literally my daughter's banging the glass on my office door. You guys can see for yourselves. I don't know if you can see that. Did I even turn it? Oh. Anyway, I gotta go, guys. Thank you all for watching so much, and I'll see you next Wednesday. I'll see you this weekend at OREC, and this Saturday at noon, I want to see you in the comments of this video. I want you to share it around some groups like the Mr. My Mustache forums, Reddit. I want to see you guys share it on Reddit for me in a not a creepy way, just kind of like, hey, like this YouTuber, check it out, or whatever. Something in some way, like bake it in there. Share the content, because I think this video could do really, really well. It's on you guys to share this content and get it around. I can't be the one sharing it on places like Reddit. Just as weird if I share it. So check that video out. How to get your partner on board with early retirement and get them on frugality. So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. As always, what is the secret to unlocking a wealthier you? There are 3 levers: spending less, earning more, and maximizing your returns. Bye, guys.